Hey everybody, welcome to a special edition of TN Sports Chat. I'm Patrick Matsinko. I'll have Justin Carlucci alongside me in a minute. We are ready for winter sports. Games kick off this Friday, so we're kind of in the middle of doing our previews, getting everything ready for this week. Everything's running, different schools, different days. So we're kind of in the process of getting ready for another season. We wrapped up the fall finally, so just excited to get going again, and excited to see what the winter sports season brings. And here he is.
What's up, everyone? We had a bit of a hiatus, and we saw some.
They renewed us for the winter season.
Contract renewed, one more
How
season.
about it? That's pretty awesome. I didn't know if that was going to happen, but here we are.
You know what they say about that contract season?
Oh, we produce. I mean,
yeah,
we produce. So I don't know what you're going to expect during the winter, but we really, we brought it during the fall. So good to see you, though.
You too, man.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you in a while. It's our contract season. Maybe we'll get a good free agent signing on the way. You never know. Maybe we'll get that bump in pay. If we have a good year, maybe we'll just get cut.
I don't know. I don't know what our live ratings are.
I don't know. Probably not good, but we can hope for the best. We do have some. Honestly, we do have some exciting stuff that'll kick off after the new year in association with this TN Sports Chat and a couple of other really exciting things, and maybe a potential sponsorship. But we can talk about that when we get closer to 2018. But we did see some great state playoff competition and things like that. You were obviously out at Johnstown recently. And we
Third time in 4 years.
Third time in 4 years for Marion Volleyball.
Yeah.
And talk about that experience a little bit.
Oh, I mean, it's always, I think anytime you have the opportunity just to be in, a state championship sort of environment, it's always pretty exciting. I'm sure just, like it is for the players and coaches and fans, just even to be able to cover something like that is, it's always pretty rad. So that was fun. Obviously, Marion, came up short, I guess, but it's always kind of hard to even look at it that way too, because they had such a phenomenal year with Schuylkill League and District 11 titles, and just ran up against a really good Maplewood team. But still another great season for those girls and Doc Fallival. So we'll see. Maybe we'll get back out there or back in York, wherever they decide to have it next year. So. Yeah.
Well, one door closes, another one opens, and here we are heading into the winter sports high school season. And our preview started to run recently. Yesterday, Tamaqua ran. Who else ran yesterday?
Oh, we had Lehighton.
Lehighton ran. Yeah. Tamaqua ran in the paper.
And then we already had Panther Valley.
Jim Thorpe.
Today it's Northwestern and Pleasant Valley.
Yep, Northwestern, Pleasant Valley. So our previews are on the way. I know Patrick got some good video from Pleasant Valley, and I took some from Tamaqua. You won't have video from anybody else's, though, however. So that's about that. And, we can talk about some boys' hoops, some girls' hoops, and some wrestling. And first of all, you were at Pleasant Valley, so talk a little bit about, I guess, let's start with basketball. Let's start with boys' basketball.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Gould, I think this is his fourth year now at the helm there. Obviously, he was a standout player. I think he was a player of the year during his career at PV. But one thing I really took away from my time there is just that they have size this year. I think they have 5 kids that are at least 6'3", a couple of kids that are 6'5", 6'6". And that EPC, the Eastern Pennsylvania Conference, it's a rugged, it's a tough league. So if they have the size to kind of bang inside, and be able to sort of distribute and run the offense that way without having 5 guards running up and down the floor, I think it really opens up a lot of options this year for Matt Gould and that team and what they can do. Isaiah Howard, returning leading scorer from last year, a little over 11 points a game. So I think this is a year that they're looking to kind of take a step in the EPC and maybe make it to districts for the first time since 2012 or 13. So this could be a big year for that program.
Yeah, and Isaiah Howard, you said, could potentially be the focal point of that offense. So, EPC is a tough conference to play in, obviously, with no more Mountain Valley. So the Bears have been battling in the Eastern Pennsylvania Conference for a few seasons now. And we'll see what the Bears can get it done this year.
Yeah, and I think it's just going to kind of come down to, seeing seeing how these kids buy in, and just sort of how things fall into place for them. There's still a lot of question marks, obviously. A number of leading scorers from a year ago. I think 5 of the top 6 are gone, so it's going to be tough to replace all of that. But this different style, new style, could be something that really plays into their hands this year. So,
and jumping around here, we have a bunch of Schuylkill League action. So we don't want to spoil the Northwestern preview since it's run in today's paper. But you read through some of those stories today. What was kind of the gist of the boys hoops program that you were getting from looking into those stories?
I mean, they're going to lose a couple of pieces. Trevor Cunningham's gone, but Sam Yadish, I think that's going to be a case where they're going to have the ball in his hands a lot this year, and he's going to kind of be counted on to be one of their playmakers, one of their leaders. Devin Ballinger, football player, is back as well. I think a lot of those guys are going to kind of take on a different role, a bigger role in the team this year. So that's something where I think they're kind of looking to have these guys that gained a lot of experience a year ago really step up and kind of fill those roles, and maybe take a step in the Colonial League and kind of reach the postseason for the first time in a while for them. So.
Palmerton, another Colonial. We had 2 more Colonial League teams we could touch on, and then we could jump into the Schuylkill League teams. But Palmerton's team was really, really, really young last year. They brought in Ken Termini, former Palisades coach, and I liked watching Palmerton play. I got to see the Bombers a couple of times, and you got your growing pains and things like that, but you can really see some of that raw talent. And they have a couple of freshmen and sophomore that I'm expecting to see some good stuff from this year. I think Palmer is going to play at a nice, fun pace. I think they're going to be a fun team to watch over Bomber Nation.
Yeah, and I mean, Ken Termini seems like he's enthusiastic about the program. I think those kids are buying into to what they're doing there, and it's his second year, obviously, as head coach. So we'll see. I mean, maybe you said you got some young guys that got some playing time last year, kind of took their lumps, and see sort of how they fit in this year, and just sort of if they're able to kind of grow and continue that development. Obviously, we kind of know what he's capable of. He had success at Palisades, so we'll see how things continue to transition at Palmerton.
At Northern Lehigh, maybe one of the big side stories there is. The head coach lost one of his assistants. His son, Trevor Miller, is now the head coach at his alma mater in Lehigh. But Northern Lehigh, Jeff Miller, still there with the Bulldogs. And, they lost a couple of really nice seniors who kind of carried the load. But they're going to see the torch getting passed to the younger kids in Slatington this year.
Joe Egan, I think, was one of their better players, and one of their leading scorers, and one of the top scorers in our area, I think, last year as well. So. It's going to be tough, obviously. I think any time to just sort of replace those points and minutes and that sort of ability. But where, like you said, one door closes, another one opens, and you see if you can kind of get some of those guys to sort of fill those roles and maybe kind of put them in different situations and see how they adjust to it. So
we're going to see a lot of transition maybe in some of the Colonial League teams. And speaking of transition, and looking at Lehigh, and we just talked about Trevor Miller. Taking over at his alma mater in Lehigh. In class of 07, I know Trevor fairly well. He was a year ahead of me and 2 behind you, right?
Yeah, 05.
So, yeah.
Crazy.
A lot of Lehigh guys.
Yeah.
So Trevor Miller taking over Lehigh, and that's a team, obviously it's a transition, taking over a new program. But the kids are buying in Lehigh. They lost a couple of really important pieces, and Andre McDowell and Buczynski and Meal. And so... Going to see a lot of young faces, and I know maybe kind of the elephant in the room is Taquan Bradley Chambers going to play basketball? Is he going to be here? What's going on with him? And I can tell you officially that we did get an updated Lehighton roster, and Taquan Bradley Chambers is in fact on it. And sources say that he's going to be on the team this year, and he, from what I know, he's enrolled for the school year. So we're going to see him most likely be an integral part of this basketball team.
And exactly. And I mean, that's something that we saw obviously throughout the football season, where he was such an ultimate X factor throughout the entire year. Did it did it each and every week, and people knew his name. People knew who he was at the end of the year. By the time they were playing Palisades in the district championship game. So if obviously, I don't know, things would fall into place again, but he has tremendous ability that he showed. So we know what he's capable of on a football field, and I don't really have any reason to doubt that he can't do it on a basketball court. So.
And also, I like what they got going on there. Assistant coach Cassie Kashulik helping out this season. A lot of experience, had some great recent seasons with Tamaqua. So between him and between Coach Kashulik and Coach Miller, I think you got two different maybe styles and some different philosophies. And I think that's an interesting pair that I think we're going to see a lot of growing from this Lehighton program.
I like that dynamic. I really do. And I think they probably have a neat relationship, just thinking about when Trevor played, Cassie as a coach, and now Cassie coming back and being a part of his staff. I think that could be something that's good for Trevor, obviously, kind of settling into his first year as head basketball coach. So definitely, like you said, a lot of experience with Cassie and a lot to lean on. So I think it'll be interesting to see kind of how it evolves and plays out throughout the season.
Sticking right there in Schuylkill League, Division I, we have a couple of other teams that we're familiar with here. Looking at Jim Thorpe, this is a team that played for a District 11 championship last year. They defeated Saucon Valley. I was at that game. That might have been a William Allen. I don't know. It was a big gym.
Salisbury? Did they play?
Yeah, but it was at a neutral court. Yeah. Or was it Salisbury? Yeah, it was not Saucon, Salisbury. And they were great, man. And they ended up squaring off with a great Beckett team. And take nothing away from losing a game like that to a team like Beckett. So great season for Jim Thorpe last year. They're also going to have a lot of senior leadership to replace. So you got kids like Brennan Carroll are gone, and who else was inside there?
I mean, we had
Matt
Machichi.
Machichi.
So, but McEmoyle, head coach, McEmoyle, he does a great job with those kids, and that program has been trending upward. I think since he's taken over, really.
Absolutely.
You look at how many wins they had the year before he took over, and again, the fact that they're in contention for a district title just a few years into his tenure, I think speaks volumes to what he's done with that program and those guys. Those were a lot of the same guys, and obviously he's managed to turn that around, and now they are a team that you look at as being a contender. So we'll see if it continues this year.
Yeah, and you're sticking right there with Tamaqua, a team that's returning a lot of guys. Josh Ainama graduated, Zeke Wassel graduated, but you're getting Thad Zuber back. It feels like he's been playing hoops at the varsity level since 2001. But so Thad Zuber's back, and he is kind of the focal point of that team on both. He's a great gritty defender. His offensive skills. He's going to be paired up with Braden Knobloch, who's also returning. What a great freshman year. And I did write the Tamaqua preview. I had a chance to talk to head coach Jim Barron, and he did say that Knobloch is going to be out. He has a broken collarbone, so he's going to miss some time. But there's a host of Raiders there that you might not know by name yet, but had some meaningful experience and time in that rotation last year. And they're getting Nate Boyle to come over and play some hoops too this year.
And again, I think that's huge, just like you said, and I was able to look at some of your preview, but these kids that they were knocking on the door last year, as a team, and now you have some of these guys that got that experience. They kind of know what it's all about. They know what the stage is like, the environment. So you just kind of hope that now, if they are, pushed into other roles or just expected to kind of step up, whether it's through injury, through graduation, whatever it might be, that the stage isn't too big for them, and that they're not overwhelmed and they can just kind of blend in and just kind of keep it going. But I think Tamaqua, Jim Thorpe, these are programs that have kind of been trending upward these last couple of years for sure.
And then Panther Valley, we know Coach Crampsey missed some time last year, and I'm so happy to see him back with a full season. And I hope you're doing well, Coach. I talked to you last week, trying to get him on my radio show, and
I think it'd be awesome for this show too.
Yeah, I think maybe Coach Crampsey could come down.
Double dip.
Absolutely.
And, I'm not trying to take anybody away, but yeah, I think that'd be great.
So we got a full year of Coach Crampsey. He's back with this Panther Valley team, who is also returning probably two of his most experienced players, in Tristan Blasco and Rini Figueroa. And yeah, they lost some senior firepower, but they have a lot of younger kids that are going to be in the mix this year too.
And again, I think maybe too, just for him to kind of know that the focus is on basketball, kind of trying to just get back to what he's done, what he's been doing, and just keep it centered around that, and see what these kids are able to do. Hopefully just sort of kind of keep that going forward, and it'll be interesting to see. It's interesting to see at this time of year where things are going to shake out, right? Because we can look at kids that are back and look at kids that are lost, but there are always kids that step up that we don't know about. Maybe kids that were JV, kids that are freshmen, and sometimes you just end up with those sort of surprises each and every year, and they end up being big parts of the team and lead to a lot of success. So that's kind of, it's always tough to know. It's tough to know now, but yeah, we'll see.
Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather. I just drank like my 8th coffee today too. But it's interesting that Panther Valley is playing Division I for girls, and they're Division III for boys. So Panther Valley is going to be in D3 for the boys. Which is,
that's humongous. Obviously, when you look at the teams that they're competing with, the Shenandoahs, the Monois, the Weatherlys, the Marions, it's a far cry from Blue Mountain or Pottsville or North Schuylkill and schools like that. So again, I think it's something that at the end of the year could bode well for them. But it's still a rugged Schuylkill League schedule. When you're playing those Division I schools throughout the season and you have to face that kind of competition, you still have to kind of take your lumps and see what you can do there. So.
And you look at Marion, obviously they have some shoes to fill too, some big shoes at Brandon Muhammad, who's gone now, as well as a couple other seniors too. But they're bringing back some young guards. Noah Stauffer, Tyler Fritz are coming back.
I think has grown quite a bit.
Yeah, that's what the word is, that he got a little bit taller since the last time he took the basketball
court.
But
only a freshman last year, and he was obviously a big part of what John Patton and that team did. And as a three-point shooter, handling the ball obviously as well. So yeah, you can kind of count on him playing even a larger role in what the team's going to do this year. And even to think about competing for a Schuylkill League title last year, always kind of in the mix in the postseason. Those kids with another year under their belt, and maybe a little bit bigger, more experienced, might have a little more firepower this year, depending on just sort of how things play out.
And then you have Weatherly also in Division III there, and you're looking at this Division III, and it might be a little bit more wide open than the last couple of years. I think of a couple of teams that are in transition. Obviously, Shenandoah, I think, had at least 8 or 9 seniors on that team.
Which, yeah, and that's, obviously you're thinking about it. Yeah, and you're thinking about a rotation, and whether it's your starting 5 or if you're going, these are your 2 or 3 guys off the bench. If you lose that many guys off of the team, it's incredibly difficult to expect to fill in, 5, 6 plus spots, depending on how many guys actually got playing time last year. So yeah, that could obviously, like you said, leave the door wide open for any number of these teams out in Division III.
Excuse me.
So
should have took a sick day today, man.
You're good.
Show must go on.
And we're live, so it's not like we can cut to commercial either.
Yeah.
We don't. I don't have the button. I don't have a cough button for you either.
I'm pretty much stuck between a rock and a hard place, man.
But it's okay.
That's how I feel right about now.
I had some mints out there, but I'll get them to you as soon as we leave.
I need to get that Tussin, man. Got to get that Tussin DM. But looking over at the girls' side, we just previewed the boys' hoops a little bit here. You're listening to the Times New Sports Chat. I'm Justin.
Hopefully willingly.
Hopefully willingly. I'm Justin Carlucci. I'm coughing quite a bit. This is Patrick Matsinko. We could talk about some of the girls' hoops too, and why not? You went to Pleasant Valley.
Yeah.
And you talked to Coach Goronski and the crew there, and Masani Francis and Cameron Caffrey, saw your interviews there. 3 returning
starters, yeah. So they have Michaela Miller, Cameron Caffrey, Masani Francis coming back. 3 girls that started last year that are expected again to be big for that team. And that's a team that's made District 11 playoffs 6 out of Goronski's 8 years there. They've obviously been a factor in the postseason almost every year. And in addition to the 3 starters, they have a lot of girls back that had a lot of playing time last year. So I think this is a group that, I know I talked to Masani Francis, and they maybe lose some size, but they still have that sort of speed and quickness and athleticism. So it could be more of an up-tempo pace this year, I guess, for the Pleasant Valley girls basketball team, and see if they can kind of use that to their advantage. And get the ball out on the wings, push the pace, push the tempo, and just kind of use that in their favor. And again, compete in the EPC in the Mountain Division, and see what happens during districts. So, but they're a factor. It seems like just about every year.
And they were a super competitive team last year.
Yeah, and I think too is as they get into their roles and they kind of feel it out a little bit, and what's expected of them, and where they're playing, and just sort of how the season unfolds. It seems like a team that maybe kind of picks it up as the year goes on too. And that could be the case again this year, but I'm sure it'll only help to have 3 returning starters and a wealth of girls who have already gained time. So,
excuse me.
Yeah.
It cost me $500 to go to the urgent care last month. I'm not going back.
It's not worth it.
You got to peel me off the ground before I give you 5 big bills to give me an antibiotic.
It's not worth it.
No. I need a new home remedy. I should go get some Boilo or something. Or is that a Schuylkill County tradition?
Yeah.
Tea's so boring,
I don't
man.
know, though. I wouldn't trust a lot of those Schuylkill County traditions.
Yeah, some of them seem a little hardcore. But moving on here, jumping around here to our non-Schuylkill League teams. Northwestern is a team who's always good.
Yeah.
Always good.
I mean...
I can't. I'm trying to keep my composure here, and I can't.
Chris Deutsch...
Chris Deutsch always has those girls playing. And, I read a Morning Call article or something on Twitter, and it said, Northwestern Lehigh's tabbed as one of the favorites to win the Colonial League.
Yeah, and I think they have a lot of girls that gained a lot of playing time, a lot of experience last year. A lot of them are back this year, so, you're kind of hoping that just carries over and that they can sort of just continue to progress. And again, I think once you get that sort of that winning success breeds success, right? So if these girls are coming back from a great run last year, what was it, league and district semifinals? So this is a case, obviously, where you like to think that they're just going to continue to kind of thrive and grow. And he's proven, again, as a coach, that he's able to put these girls in great spots to succeed. So
and they have Leanna Lister back. And I don't know what the odds are of this is, but it's not great for news reporters trying to spell names. But there's a Leanna Leister from Palmerton.
Yeah.
And Leanna Lister from Northwestern, and both of them are awesome players.
Yeah. So you write their name a lot, and you just hoped, I guess, that you're always writing the correct name for that school.
What are the odds of that? In the same league, 10 minutes apart from each other.
It's
crazy.
Not in our favor.
Oh.
I know that for sure. Or if you're doing stats for like TJ or Rod, and you're trying to figure out whether there's an L Lister, but is it the one Leicester for Palmerton or Northwestern? But regardless, they're both really talented players. So you can count on, like you said, her being a big part of what Northwestern does, and seeing sort of how the season shakes out for them again.
Yeah, and speaking of Palmer, that's another young team, and like we said, Leister is the guard for Palmerton, and she can play, man. She is really good, and she's going to look to lead this team again another year in the same system.
And the Colonial League is always tough. You see that each and every year. Palmerton obviously has had success in the past, and I think just kind of trying to get back into contention in the Colonial League, and again, be a factor at the end of the season. So that's kind of early, but obviously sort of see how things shake out at the end.
And the Northern Lehigh Bulldogs, don't let that record fool you. They have some girls that can play. Jada Mills had a great season last year for the Bulldogs, and she had some help too, and that team's definitely growing.
And obviously, again, don't forget about Jillian Olewine.
Mm-hmm.
One of their key players did it during soccer season. Is huge during basketball season. Yeah, and again, like you said, girls that have been around that program for a couple of years, and sort of trying to make one more run at it. But his games are always competitive. It seems like it doesn't really matter going into it what the record might be. I guess it's kind of cliche to say you can throw it out the window, but these teams, they can play. There's no easy win. So whether it's Colonial, EPC, or Schuylkill League,
Yep.
So.
Schuylkill League Division 1. Jim Thorpe, a lot of returning girls.
Yeah.
Kaylee Kovac, her sister, and the supporting cast there. They are going to be probably a tough out and a force to be reckoned with. I remember their last game of the year last year I covered. It was the New Hope Soulberry. Tough game.
Yeah.
But that was
small gym.
Small gym. Tough game, small gym, tough place to play. I had to stand for that whole game.
Yeah.
There was like 2 rows of bleachers on each side of the gym.
Well, that's where Panther Valley's volleyball was supposed to be, and luckily they moved it to Council Rock South because the Panthers brought a busload of people that probably would have filled that whole place.
How can you host a state game with no seating?
Well, they didn't for volleyball, so
You got lucky, man.
yeah.
So Jim Thorpe, what are your expectations with the Olympians? What do you think their ceiling is? What do you think they could do?
I mean, Kaylee Kovac has done so much, obviously, that you just kind of feel like, and with head coach Rob Kovac, that this maybe could be their year, right? Where they have these girls that are seniors, they've been playing together for a couple years, so they kind of have that experience together, and this is their chance to make one more run at postseason glory and have that success as a team. And it just seems like this could be a year where they are in contention. Schuylkill League District 11. So I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised by anything this year. I think they're certainly going to be in the mix. They have it seems like they have the pieces, and just a matter of, I guess, whether or not it comes together. So
Joining them in Division 1 is Tamaqua.
Yeah.
Another team who had a great freshman class. They made a district run and then ran into Allentown Central Catholic. But this is a team, not your ordinary freshman class last year. Coming in was Emma Kaczynski, who was awesome. Jamie Zuber was awesome. And a couple other girls. They are a very sophomore-heavy rotation. There's one senior on the team in Kirsten Jones, who is their center, their best rebounder, and their anchor. This is a young, exciting team over there in Tamaqua.
yeah, and I think it seems like they kind of they got where they did last year. I don't know. I don't think that was a surprise necessarily, but that was a huge step. They really made great strides, and they're looking for more this year. Now I think they expect to be there. They belong among the best teams in the Schuylkill League and in the district. These girls proved it last year, and now they get a chance to kind of come out and do it again. So. But I would say, you were there. I think the excitement seems like it's pretty high. I think they're looking forward to going out and showing what they're capable of.
It is, and they have a good young coach in Erica Barron, who's one of the best all-around players in Times News Girls Hoops history. And she's a guard, and that's a guard-heavy team. So no one better to instruct those young guards and athletes there in Tamaqua than her. And so I'm excited to see what the Raiders can do this year. And you're moving on here to Lehighton, who has a new head coach as well. Both hoops programs with new coaches. Joe Breserwick coming from, used to coach Tamaqua, now he's at Lehighton. So he will have Skyland Faust back and Blaziak's back.
Yeah, Julia Fry. There's a huge group of girls. Dara Hitler, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, but they have a really strong. They lose Jada Whiteman, but they have a really strong core that's been playing together. I know we've put a lot of their stuff from even the summer league, the Caddy Summer League, that they did well there. They had success playing together there. So this is a team that Coach Breswood could be coming into. Obviously, a lot of talent left. That's still there from Eric Gidney, who was the previous head coach. Yep. But yeah, this is a team that seems like it has a great nucleus, a great core that could be, again, ready to make another run. It's an experienced group, and they've been in postseason play. They've had a taste of it. So this could be a group that's kind of ready-made for a nice season.
Yep, and Coach Gidney turned into a good friend of mine, and he's out at Muhlenberg High School, so best of luck to him coaching them. But he made a couple good points about Skyland Faust last year. She might not lead the team in scoring in whatever game, but the opposition just has to respect her talents. So her presence on the court is second to none. She really fills up the stat sheet. She rebounds. She's a good passer. She blocks shots. So She kind of does it all there. So I think Lehighton is going to be in pretty good shape this year. We'll see how that supporting cast can rally around a couple of those key players there.
Yeah, and that's again, I guess what it kind of comes down to is it's never just one or two girls. I mean, you need to have that starting rotation, the girls off the bench, and again, it's a new system too. So it's a new coach, so we don't know exactly how things are going to all sort of fall into place there. But yeah, definitely on paper, seems like it could be a great year for the Lady Indians.
Panther Valley girls playing up in Division I. Different look of a team this year, though, Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, head coach, that's kind of a case where, it's his second year?
Second or third year.
Second or third year, but...
former coach Brad Hurley, I believe.
Yes, but a colleague of ours. But, yeah, I mean, it seems like, this is a case where, again, to play in Division I, that's obviously tough. You're going to kind of take your lumps, but they do look like they are... I don't want to say prime, but they look like they're in a position that they can take another step and move the program forward. They have some new faces, they have some new girls, but looks like they have the opportunity to kind of take another step forward.
And they're getting some reinforcements. Obviously, they're led by one of their leaders, Christina Dacey, is a senior now, I believe. Her sister's going to be playing this year. She was injured last year. Yep, she's going to be the center. And a couple other girls from the volleyball team that could really play are going to be in the basketball court too. I think you're going to see some more height on that team. The Boskis.
But that's the case too. And do you think maybe when they play together during obviously volleyball season, they district champions, all that stuff, and now they come out for basketball? I mean, how much do you think there is that sort of carryover effect where you have that success together during volleyball season, and now you're back together for basketball season? I mean, how much do you think there is just kind of carryover, I guess?
I think there's more trust between the girls. Trust is a big thing. You can cut backdoor, cut baseline, but you're not going to cut hard unless you think you're actually going to get the ball and things like that.
Exactly.
So there's some cohesiveness there, but these girls have been playing for a long time, and Coach Lynn used to coach them when they were younger. I think he coached down in the middle school ranks and things like that. So they're definitely all familiar with one another. So Panther Valley, really intrigued to see if they can take a step forward this season. Looking over at our Division III teams, you got Marion and Weatherly in Division III.
And Weatherly is a team, though, that's made some noise. I mean, Emily Zoshin was All-State last year, along with Kaylee Kovac. That's a team that's made districts, that's qualified for the postseason. So, again, that looks like a team that's going to kind of be there. And I don't know if they can kind of really be a thorn in the side of some of these other programs, but they're certainly a team that's gonna be competitive and gonna put up a fight.
Yeah.
So
and Zoshin's fast.
Yeah,
she runs track. She can fly in transition. She has great touch with the basketball. And head coach Kevin Cringe, man, is a great motivator. And when you talk to him, he's just so passionate. I'd play for him, man. So he has those girls playing every year, and I like Weatherly's chances there in Division III to make some noise.
Yeah, and I think again it's a team that's kind of they've gotten there, and now I think it's sort of a matter of kind of getting over the hump a little bit. They've run into the Shenandoahs and some teams like that have kind of been like roadblocks at the end of the year, but yeah, I mean, they certainly look like a team that's going to be able to compete in the Schuylkill League and then even beyond.
And Marion, head coach Paul Bruto, we know what he's about, and just the legacy and the tradition of that girls team being so consistent.
Oh yeah, and every year, I mean, it just doesn't really seem to matter, what girls they have, who leaves. They just kind of are always there. They're always in contention. And I think, too, a lot of times, that's obviously it's a credit to him. I mean, for as long as he's been there, and each and every year, Marion is a contender. Whether it's for leagues or districts, Marion's a team that you're never going to really count out or just write off. So I think that's a credit to Coach Bruto and his whole staff there.
Yep, and they got some talent coming back, so definitely looking forward to seeing what the Phillies and what the Wreckers can do. And those might be some good games between the two and some double locals this year, too.
Yeah, and I think maybe in the past, you wouldn't have necessarily, kind of put that together. But yeah, I feel like this year those could be really competitive games, and as could a lot of those games in Division III.
And some wrestling input here. I'm sure maybe in one of our next couple of shows, once we have some data and we finally see some things, there's still wrestle-offs and things going on. So, once we have that sorted out, we can definitely talk some more wrestling in the future. But, off the top of your head, who are some of the guys coming back that are from our coverage area that are kind of expected to have big years,
I mean, the first one that jumps to mind, I guess, is Northwestern's Caleb Clymer. A kid that's been a state medalist, knocking on the door of a state championship. And I mean, we got a chance to read, the previews today, and I think he said it, that anything less than a state title this year is going to be a disappointment, which is obviously a lot to put on yourself, and to kind of think about that. But again, it should be expected. He comes from a wrestling family. Brothers have had tremendous amount of success. It's kind of something that he's been born into, and he had a great football season. He's healthy. He was healthy last year as well. But I mean, he's a kid that's just primed to do well as a senior. And he had a great year last year. Is our top returning medalist. We lose, obviously, Ryan Farber, who wrestled for a state championship last year at Northern Lehigh. He's at Penn now. And we lose Tanner McHugh, our other state medalist from Tamaqua. But there are a number of underclassmen that are back. I mean, we have Bronson Strauss at Tamaqua. Yep. We have the Kennedys at Panther Valley. Lucas Sangiuliano, at Lehighton. We have Ethan Mordaunt at Jim Thorpe. Jackson Bernard at Northwestern. So, it's Colin Rex at Northwestern, a kid that, kind of came from nowhere and knocked off, 2 kids at regionals that he hadn't beaten all year just to get out to states. And he was at regionals as an injury replacement. And he goes to states. I mean, that's awesome. That's
incredible.
That's probably the coolest thing. That's the coolest thing ever. But yeah, and we'll see. There are always new faces. I think about last year how Lucas Sangiuliano kind of was at 113 all year, and then got to districts. Wasn't seeded, goes down to 106, and rolls into a district final. And there's a case where just kind of the way the season played out, he's maybe a 500 wrestler, and all of a sudden he knocks off the 2 and the 3 seeds, and he's wrestling for a district championship, and he goes to regionals. So you have stuff like that kind of each and every year, which is exciting. That's stuff you can't always kind of put your finger on right away, but yeah, so we'll kind of see what we end up with as the season goes on, and we kind of get some more of these matches, but I'm excited. Yeah, so that'll be kind of my thing. Again, I guess the rankings will start after the new year again.
As far as I know, I interviewed the only new coach in the coverage area. I'm not sure if there's a top of my head, but Jim McCabe is back again. He's not necessarily new at the helm of the Tamaqua program. He took over in 2001 originally, took some time off to spend some time with his daughters growing up and his family, and he said, they're getting older now. His one daughter is a wrestling manager now, and his family and his wife are going to start coming to the matches. So he's really, really excited to get back involved. He's a Mono area native, so he knows the area. Tamaqua has a lot of numbers, and like you said, he has kids like Bronson Strauss, and Khalid Holland, and
Caleb Sell, Pierce Dimitriadis. I mean, just kind of some names that are, I guess, coming back. Those kids, some of those kids had really great freshman seasons, and they were big parts of that success. That I think that you're going to try to build with that program. Just kind of build around these guys. It's always tough to lose a kid like a Tanner McHugh, who's all-time wins leader in school history, but. And a state medalist as well, but yeah, when you have that kind of youth and when you have numbers and you can fill out all 14 weight classes, that's huge. And it's, I think, going to be a similar situation at Pleasant Valley this year, where they were giving up 2, 3, sometimes 4 forfeits each and every week, each and every match last year. And now this year they have 12 freshmen on the roster. So kids are going to be expected to come in, fill spots in the lineup, and contribute.
And just to touch on swimming, since I interviewed Tamaqua, since that's our other winter sport, most of our swimmers are from Tamaqua, most of them. New head coach in Jen Paisley, and she coached the Tamaqua Wave, which is the younger swimming program in the area. So she's excited to take over. And they lost a couple swimmers, but they're bringing back some athletes, some swimmers like Lexi Kerstetter's back, Jeff Letterhouse on the other side. So and their numbers are pretty good. And that's another sport where the numbers kind of hurt, especially in this area where a lot of just swimming isn't. A lot of kids don't go out for swimming around here. It's not, you know what I mean? It is what it is.
Look at Marion. Yeah, they compete as an independent program.
Right.
So you have kids that are training at a YMCA in Hazleton or a Parkland Aquatic Club.
And it's a lot of stress and a lot of long drives and a lot of dedication because there just aren't many resources around here to train. And that's just a simple fact of what it is.
And then it becomes even more incredible when you have, maybe a situation like last year where like a Danny Berlitz at Marion, where he's state champion, and he's one of the best, not just in the area, obviously, but he's, swimming for state titles. And I think, you talked to him, that was a couple of years ago, kind of what his schedule's like and just sort of all the sacrifices those kids have to make just to be able to do school, train, and then compete. And it's just, it's kind of just, it's nonstop, for those kids.
And obviously Danny Berlitz is back for another year, so, his goals, without even asking him, are most likely state title or bust for him, So, and there are a couple Panther Valley swimmers this year, so, we'll keep you updated on the swimming as the season progresses too. But yeah, man, so our previews are running throughout the rest of the week. If you're still awake and alive and with us, we appreciate you tuning in. And
much gratitude.
Yep, you can check out some videos. Patrick got some Pleasant Valley videos about previews. I got some Tamaqua videos. We usually try to get some video interviews with wherever we're at. Can't promise you much more than the games that we cover personally, but we try to get it out there. So,
and check out our YouTube channel.
Yeah, we've got a YouTube channel.
Yeah, branching out.
We post some stuff on Twitter. Our new website's awesome, and you might be on it now, or you might have seen it, but it's really a lot easier to use than our former website. So we post as much stuff on there as we can too. But and we're gonna try to bring this show back to you, every week. Might be on Thursdays. We're not solidified with that yet, but we're definitely trying to get some guests and some coaches like we did in the fall. It's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be a good season.
Yeah, it's exciting just to kind of think about doing something new, something different. Fall flew by like it always does, I guess. It seems like we're doing the previews, and then all of a sudden we're thinking about districts and states and all that stuff. And now here we are. Season tips off Friday.
Yep.
So it'll be here before you know it, and then right around the corner will be spring. So, but we'll just try to enjoy it for now. So.
Might as well give a quick plug for my radio show. If you really want to hear more of me, I do a sports show once a week every Wednesday at 6 on Magic 105.5 from the Deer Lake Pub. We talk some national sports, some college stuff, some local stuff. We get some guests on, and it's wing night at the Deer Lake Pub, and the wings are really good. Patrick's been on my show before.
I have. And now it's just like our schedules never overlap, so I can't do it anymore.
So yes,
it's fun. It's a good time. They're great people there too. So
yeah, they are really good people.
So
if anybody send your questions to us, your comments. If you ever want to come on the show, if you're involved in the area, or you know someone that might want to come on the show, send a message our way, and we'll be glad to have you on.
Yeah. So hopefully we have another good season, and see what happens.
Well, is that it?
Yeah.
All right.
We made it.
Yeah. I think. All right. I'm gonna go to Walmart and get some tussin, clear up this whatever I got going on here. I think I'm allergic to work. I think I gotta get out of here soon.
It might be the dog on your binder.
Yeah, man. So for Patrick Matsinko and this Pug Notebook, I'm Justin Carlucci. We'll see you next week.